All right, is it live? Okay, y'all should be able to hear me. Let me check in the chat. Make sure everybody can hear me. All right, sound check. This is for me, and like I said, I'm using new software. I normally wouldn't have to do this. I use. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Cool. Let's do this. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sir Hunt's Reviews. My name's Mark. We're going to be talking about the blacks, but we're also going to be talking about some other things. I'm using OBS because, the new software, because the one that I was using before, it would stream in 720p, and then I think in the last stream, I didn't notice this until afterwards, but when you're wearing headphones, it only played the audio in one ear, so I'm back to using OBS. This is one of the cool things you get to do with OBS. Things like this, you put, like, for me, it's really easy to put overlays and, have the chat going and stuff. Eventually, I'll make it look nicer, like I'll make some new overlays and new borders and stuff in Photoshop, but the problem is, when I was using it before, the way that it streams is unreliable, so I stopped using it. But I'm using it again now. So Happy New Year's! And let's talk. Let me see who's in the chat. There's been several people that were here before I even started, so that's amazing. I feel like I was talking to myself all day in the chat. I'm like, getting ready, guys, getting ready. 10 hours ago, I was like, all right. Let me see. Participants. Shout out to Billy Bob Robertson. Shout out to John Haymaker, J.S. Holgerson, Mohammed Akrut, Osiris Gaming. What's up, buddy? He got his painting finally. I was gonna print him a picture of the Caraxes, but I haven't bought any ink yet, so I sent him the original of the Dark Sister watercolor that I did. And that watercolor paint was actually sent to me by a user named Destiny. She also got me that Beware the Dragon sign behind me, right there. But yeah, so also Breanne Johnson. What's up, girl? I think I said it. Wex is the secret Targaryen. The North must remember. What's up, dude? You didn't submit a topic this week, or last week for that matter. What the heck is going on? Pebbles83, what's up? And I think that's it. Justin Gint. All right. So let's go back to that. And I'll do this. I think I said everybody, right? All right, cool. Cool. There's 31 people watching right now, so that's amazing. That's 30 people that decided to spend their New Year's with me. Also, if you're in a different time zone, it may already be 2023. One thing that I feel like I should promote, it's not sponsored or anything, but it's the Song of Ice and Fire calendar for 2023 is awesome. I looked at it when I first bought it several months ago. Oh, you guys can't even see it because the chat's there. Hang on, let me do this real quick. All right, now you guys can see it. Before, for December, remember, we had the White Walker image, I believe, for the last one for 2022, but we got a picture of the Targaryen. Just let me show it. Look at that. Look at that. That's the painted table. And you know what? That's perfect, because House of the Dragon episode 10 was the Black Council. That's the theme of this. Y'all like that? That was one long intro just to show you guys. This image, dope. That is by an artist named Renee. Hang on, let me say it. Let me say it in French. Renee Agner. That was terrible. Let me do this. Just so it's at the most recent comment. Alright, so cool. These are topics that were submitted to me through Patreon, and I'm going to be answering them. Also, my birthday's tomorrow, and I'll be turning 33, which is a Hobbit. It's when you're considered officially an adult, as if you're a Hobbit. But yeah, I just thought I would get that out of the way. I'm getting older, but my son's birthday was yesterday, so that was like kind of the birthday celebration. All of my birthday happiness went towards that, so that's while I may not seem as excited that it's my birthday, who gives a shit? All right, so let's see. The first topic is from AnaaaRodarte. She says, happy birthday, bro. Thank you. And then, let's see. Do you think Fire and Blood going into season 2 will be purely from book, or you think they will switch some? My hair looks crazy. I got a haircut. Sorry, hang on. Let me make this look straight. I would mention what this orange substance is right here, but I believe if you mention what orange substances are, you get demonetized. I haven't cursed yet. Also, I haven't mentioned what this is, so we'll see. All right. Do you think Fire and Blood going into season 2 will be purely from book, or you think they will switch some stuff around? And if so, what do you think they will change? Well, perfect question. Anastasia, thank you for submitting that. Again, you can join my Patreon for as little as $2. I killed the $1 tier just for right now. I'll probably bring it back. I don't actually offer anything for anybody that joins for $1, aside from just listening to the podcast. So once I get more organized on my Patreon, I think I'm pretty organized now, but once I get, offer a reward, I'll bring that $1 tier back. But you can still join for $2. And one of the things is you get to submit any topic, or as you'll see, some of these are completely unrelated to A Song of Ice and Fire. But anyway, what do I think they'll change off bat? One of the things that has to happen, and I talk about Rook's Rest a lot. I talk about the Cargill twin duel a lot. Let me think of something that's mentioned a lot, but I haven't talked about it since the season ended. Blood and cheese. If I'm not mistaken, there was a interview kind of where an online website did an interview with Sarah Hess, who's one of the writers for House of the Dragon. I believe she may be responsible for one of the more controversial scenes in episode 9. No reason to bring that up. But they mentioned, Sarah Hess mentioned that they've already finished writing the blood and cheese scene, which is something that I think may vary slightly. So when we saw the twins, Jaehaerys and Jaehaera, in House of the Dragon, episode 9, the Green Council, we only saw 2 of them. We didn't see Maelor. So one of the things that happens in the books is Blood and Cheese, right? Blood is this dude who used to work for the Gold Cloaks, super loyal to Daemon. If I had to guess, he's probably the guy in episode 1 who's yelling out all of the crimes. I'm not the only one who said this. There's a bunch of people who've said this, but he's the dude who's yelling out the crimes when Daemon has his first scene, and he's like, well, not his first scene, but one of the more badass scenes in episode 1 for Daemon, when there's this dude who's yelling out, raper, murderer, thief. Maybe that would be Blood, but didn't that guy rat on Daemon? Wasn't he the one who told on Daemon to the Green Council later on? Potentially. Maybe. But either way, Blood is this dude who used to work for the Gold Cloaks, and canonically, he gets kicked out of Gold Cloaks because he does some bad things to a woman, right? So he's still loyal to Daemon, and through Mysaria, Daemon, this is what happens in the books, Daemon hires Blood, and then also Cheese, who's a rat catcher, who is one of the many people who knows the in and outs of Maegor's Holdfast. And you may think, wait, many people? Isn't Maegor's Holdfast supposed to be this secretive thing that, like, Maegor the Cruel, one of the reasons why he was given that name is because he killed all the people that built that thing. So how does this rat catcher, or why did I say, so many people know that? Well, just a bunch of people in the books know how to get in and out of Maegor's Holdfast. So it's not as secure as you would think. But anyway, this dude Cheese, who's this rat catcher, teams up with Blood, and they sneak in to, not Maegor's Holdfast, actually. I know I just said that. Maegor's Holdfast... I'm about to... This orange substance making my brain work a little bit different. I was going to make a really good point about how Maegor's Holdfast is actually pretty impenetrable when you try to sneak into it at this point in time in this story, but instead I made the opposite point. So Blood actually proposes, or Blood is proposed to by Cheese. Cheese is like, look, I know how to get into the Red Keep, but I can't get into Maegor's Holdfast. So the Red Keep is obviously the castle. Maegor's Holdfast is a castle inside of a castle, really secure, right? King Aegon III, who's the king at the end of this, holds up in there when, he's sort of having a standoff with somebody. But Anyway, they sneak into the Tower of the Hand, which is inside the Red Keep. So it's inside that big castle that we always see when we get the shots for King's Landing and not just House of the Dragon, but also for Game of Thrones, right? Maegor's Holdfast is inside of that. But the Tower of the Hand is inside the Red Keep, which is, next to Maegor's Holdfast, but is way less secure. So they sneak into the Tower of the Hand, and they get to the Queen's apartments. And when they get there, her 3 children are there, and they make her choose, right? I've explained this a bunch. Let me actually try to answer the question, which is how do I think it'll differentiate? So as of right now, Mysaria is working for the Greens. She worked for Sir Otto. So it'll be interesting to see if Daemon doesn't actually use her help. It won't be interesting, but that could be one of the changes to answer your question, Anastasia, which is that Daemon will just send ravens and he'll get help that way. Maybe since Daemon just had a scene where he choked Rhaenyra, maybe they'll try to make it as though Daemon's more of a good guy and is less responsible for Blood and Cheese, so maybe he kind of just suggests something happen, not necessarily what they do, which is like make her choose and traumatize the crap out of Helena. So basically, when Blood and Cheese get into her room in the books, they're like, look, pick which one of your kids you want to die. If you don't, we'll choose for you, right? And we might even start, I don't want to say the word rape, R-A-P-E, because that gets me demonetized, right? But they literally say that. They say we will do that to them if you don't pick one of them, right? So she picks the youngest one, Maelor, which is another thing that they may change from the books. We only saw Jaehaera and Jaehaerys, the 2 twins. We didn't see Maelor. Aegon and Helena's 3rd child, or Aemon and Helena's 3rd child, depends on how you want to look at it, right? We didn't actually see that child, so maybe they'll just say, pick which one you want to choose, and then instead, she'll probably pick her daughter, maybe because she knows that the reason why she picks Maelor in the books is because Maelor's the youngest, and Helena's like, there's no way he'll know what's going on right now, and she didn't want to pick Jaehaerys because Jaehaerys is Aegon number 2, right? That's his heir. So if he gets killed, then Aegon is left without an heir, and the Greens are kind of screwed, right? So they're like, all right, you made a decision, right? And then in the books, the line that's really famous is Blood goes, you hear that, boy? Your mama wants you dead. And then they kill, not the son that she chose, but the opposite, right? So, like, Maelor's supposed to die, but he doesn't. Instead, he lives knowing that his mom chose him to die, and instead they kill Aegon's heir. So Jaehaerys is killed. The twins that we saw. Maybe Maelor will be much younger, and then, or maybe the excuse could be Maelor was much younger in the scenes that we saw the twins, and that's why she wasn't there. She was like in a nursery, or he wasn't there. He was like in a nursery or something. But that could be the 2 changes, 2 slight changes. The reason why I'm saying that is because in the interview with Sarah Hess, they mentioned, right, that the scene is gruesome, and that, not verbatim, can't really remember exactly what they said, but it's going to be really insane for the audience to see, and that they finished writing it. So the scripts are almost done. They're going to start filming sometime around March. They could potentially start before then, right? We've had Ewan Mitchell mention something about how he's getting wig fittings done, right? Holy shit. I saw this pink thing in the corner of my eye. That's another reason why I stopped scanning the chat, because it distracts me so much. Thank you. Holy shit. I just said a curse word. Pebbles83, thank you. That is a $50 super chat, right? I saw something pink out of the corner of my eye, but I was trying to finish what I was saying. Thank you for that, Pebbles. Happy birthday and Happy New Year to you and the family. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you for that. So yeah, the 2 changes, sorry, getting back on track here. The 2 changes I think would be is that Mysaria's help is used in the book. Daemon uses Mysaria to get Blood and Cheese to go and, do the deed, right? The rat catcher and the dude who used to work for the Gold Cloaks. But that would change because her allegiance right now is with, she told Sir Otto where King Aegon, Prince Aegon at the time, where he was hiding at to try to get away from Sir Otto. So she's working for him right now. She's like, I work for the people. if you don't want me to work for the people. So we don't know where her allegiance is. But let me actually give you how the change could go down. So if Mysari is not, the one to contract, like sign a contract to like basically get these two blood and cheese to go and do the deed. If she's not the one to do it, one of the changes from the book could be that maybe Daemon goes to King's Landing himself and talks to Blood, because Daemon is the prince of the city. It would be a nice change from the book. It would be a cool change. By the way, that art right there, that Daemon art right there, that's from this artist named J Fox. Go follow him on Instagram. Get some canvases done from him. That is amazing. I talk about it all the time. Also, thank you so much, Pebbles83, for that super chat. I feel like I owe you more of an excitement thing. It's this orange substance. It's messing with my head. It's making it even harder for me to think straight. But yeah, so maybe the change will be, instead of Mysari, Daemon goes to the city himself, and he's the prince of the city, and he sneaks into the city, right? He sneaks in and out of the Vale, right? He could totally go to King's Landing, and maybe he goes to former Gold Cloak hangouts and finds Blood. And Blood's like, I know a rat catcher who'll be able to get us in there, right? And that rat catcher is your boy, Sir Hunts. No, I'm just kidding. That would be cool, though. I could totally play a rat catcher. You know what would be awesome? Like, this is a bit of a backstory for a character. I gotta resize this, because this is bugging the shiz out of me. My boy Daemon over here. I'm gonna have to resize all of these questions, because I resized them to be that big. But yeah, so what would be cool to add some backstory to the rat catcher? Make him have his tongue removed. And he's got a vendetta against the Greens somehow, right? So technically, Blood is caught at the gates with the head of Jaehaerys trying to escape the city. So King's Landing has 7 gates. I can't remember which gate specifically he tries to leave from. It's kind of a little bit ironic when certain characters leave from certain gates in the city. So that's why I made a point to say that. But he gets caught. Blood gets caught, right? But Mysari doesn't. She sneaks away. And neither does the rat catcher. So he knows, these underground tunnels. But to give a backstory to you don't have to really give a backstory to Blood, because he's literally just, this dude that is super loyal to Daemon. He's a former Gold Cloak member, right? To give a backstory to him, like I said, you could make cheese like tongueless. And he just everybody knows him from his trade of catching rats. So, because they can't catch him and the rat catcher gets away, Sir Otto brings in 100 cats into the Red Keep. He also kills a bunch of other rat catchers, if I'm not mistaken, because they got rid of because Sir Otto kills all of the rat cat. That's what it is. So the original rat catcher cheese gets away, right? But he still puts a lot of rat catchers to the sword. So then he brings the cats in. I like cat plot points with George's books. It's interesting. There's a lot of cat references and cat type materials, but there's a dog that's brought in A Feast for Crows that hangs out with Breanne, and that's the dog itself has some amazing scenes. The dog doesn't have any lines of dialogue at all, but it just does some really cute things, like when in conversation, right? I believe Septon, Marybald, and Breanne, right? They're touring the Riverlands. Also, Sir Hyle Hunt is with her. This is after Catelyn dies, and she's been tasked to go find Sansa and Arya. So, in A Feast for Crows, we get Breanne POVs, and she's making her way, through the Riverlands. And the dog is with Septon Marybald, and it's really cool because the dog has really cute lines of dialogue. So they'll be talking about something, and Septon Marybald will make a point. Like the Broken Man speech is really cool. A lot of people talk about that. They did it on Game of Thrones in season 6 with Ian, the guy from Deadwood or 6 Feet Under or something. He is, he had a really famous quote that the fandom went nuts in, because he said he basically spoiled that the Hound was coming back. Even though we all knew it was going to happen, because it kind of happens in the books, although not really, nowhere near how it happens on the TV show. Like, it's just mentioned that the Hound's horse, Stranger, right? Stranger is another name for the god of death in A Song of Ice and Fire, but in this location, right, where Breanne is in the Riverlands, the Hound's horse is in a stall, and no one's able to tame this horse. The horse is named Stranger, Death, right? And it's put into this stable, and Breanne doesn't know this, of course, but we know this as the reader because, and as the listener for the audiobooks, same thing. Lights up, same part of your brain. Same thing. The only reason why I say it's the same thing is because people that only read, and I did this with KKC, with Kingkiller Chronicle, they think they're better than people that listen to audiobooks. But it's not the case. It's the same thing with people when Game of Thrones was on. Everybody was like, oh, you only watch the show? You better watch the books, which is why I would lie and be like, yeah, I read the books too, and I watch the show. I personally think the show's better. I used to actually say that to people. I used to be like, yeah, the show's better than the books. There are certain things the show did better than the books, but the show is not better as a whole than the books. That's just a lie. But I used to say that because there's this thing, there's like this hierarchy where if you, and it's the same thing with if you listen to an audiobook or if you read the book. Here's the thing. In my opinion, science says your brain, when it lights up and it takes pictures of it, it's the same thing. So, But anyway, the dog, really cute. Let me go to the next slide. Hopefully I answered your question, AnaaaRodarte, Anastasia. Sorry about that. I got really sidetracked. All right, so let me reframe this. Put this back. Wait. There we go. Well, now I can't read it. Can I? Sir Hunt needs glasses. Oh, okay. This is from Laura Estrada. Thank you for submitting this. And she said, oh, I want to talk about the Faceless Men. Oh, yeah. So I made each of these thumbnails, if you can't tell, to sort of relate to what each one of the questions is. Sorry. These are all submitted to me. That was loud as hell. Hang on a second. Everybody all right now? So these were all submitted to me by my patrons. This one is from Laura Estrada. Thank you for this question, Laura. She says, I want to talk about the Faceless Men, their whereabouts and significance during House of the Dragon. What do the children of the forest represent? Okay, so let me answer the first one first. The Faceless Men in House of the Dragon, right? So in Fire and Blood. Let me stall here for a second. That needs some ice. There is no, so in Game of Thrones, there's a heavy plot line, right? So Arya is currently still in Bravos, trying to become a Faceless Man. In House of the Dragon, in Fire and Blood, there's not a Faceless Men plot. What I think is really cool is you have depths, right? So leaps that are taken with lore that I personally think are really awesome. Hopefully, I think their goal was in writing this kind of stuff, like the scene where, in particular, Viserys is talking to the younger version of Alicent, Emily Carey, so Paddy Considine, Emily Carey, the scene where they're talking over that, the rebuild of Valyrian city, right? And Viserys is like, the fire mages, they lived right here. They were close to the source of the power, right? So that was a really, really cool leap from canon. I don't want to call it a break from canon, because a break from canon is something like Rhaenys busted up the floor. But, recently Indeep Geek said this on the live stream I did with him for Christmas. It was a charity live stream. I've said it a bunch. I said it immediately after the episode happened during the live stream when I was trying to work through my thoughts on what I thought about the busted up the floor scene. But it makes it really easy for someone who hasn't read the books and won't read, well, it's not the books, it's really just Fire and Blood. It makes it easy to realize why the small folk will come back and destroy the dragon pit, because thousands of small folk died right then and there. But that's a break from canon, right? But a leap from canon is the Valyrian mage thing. The mages were very close to this source of power. So if we have stuff like that being explained, the Faceless Men were literally started, right, from Valyria, right? So there was this dude. when the Valyrians would mine their caves, they would go deep. They would go deeper than I do during sex, right? Which is crazy because I go pretty damn deep. I deep dip the out of these. Oh, right? So, right? The Valyrians, in that process, they would trample over regular people, right? Some of these people would be near death, but the Valyrians wouldn't let them die. So there was this dude, the first Faceless Man. Arya finds this out in her POV. The first Faceless Man was just some, we would assume, a Valyrian, actually. I would say we. I'm speaking for the fandom. I don't speak for the fandom. I speak for myself. I assume the first Faceless Man was a Valyrian who took pity on all of these suffering people, slaves, that he saw in these mines around all of these volcanic activity. That was weird. Volcanic activities, right? So he's like, I will give them the mercy of death. So these slaves would basically, offer a prayer up to this Faceless Man, this dude who probably after a while, the name Faceless Man was given to them. I would assume after this dude would give the mercy of death to these Valyrian slaves that were working the mines to, I would assume, Valyrians have a lot of magic rituals, so they would probably intentionally want a bunch of dead people laying around so they could sacrifice them, but also they probably had not thousands, but a decent amount of dragon eggs at all times in these mines being harvested. Also, they would do things with fireworms and wyverns, and they would breed them to make certain types of dragons. This is a theory that I've talked about for a couple years now, the dragon dog theory, right? So Caraxes, in particular, red dragons, were bred to do ferocious things. And as an example, Caraxes takes out Maegor, and Vhagar's is literally two-thirds, I think about 2/3 bigger than Caraxes. That's insane. You shouldn't be able to do that. But red dragons can do that. So another example of why red dragons were bred for a specific thing is Drogon, Daenerys' dragon, grows extremely fast, but is also the most. No, that's not a good example actually. Rhaenys' dragon Meleys, the Scarlet Queen, right? The Red Queen, right? Meleys fights two dragons, Vhagar and Sunfire. For the most part, holds her own. Sunfire has to take a very long time to heal afterwards. Vhagar isn't hurt that much, but Vhagar will probably be hurt more on the show. But another example of how red dragons are badass. Black dragons, bred for size. Balerion the Black Dragon, Drogon. So whatever they were doing in these mines was terrible. So the first Faceless Men would give the death of them. So getting way back on track, how they got the Faceless Men name, my theory, is that they did it so many times, the guy had to switch faces. Like there were so many dead slaves or near dead slaves that he was offering this gift to that he had to switch his face up, right? So going on, to actually answer the question, which I had to refresh myself, I want to talk about the Faceless Men, their whereabouts and significance during the House of the Dragon. What do the Children of the Forest represent? So do they have any connection to blood magic? Okay, so that's the second question, Children of the Forest. So the Faceless Men plotline in House of the Dragon could be added in, since we're talking about, all of this Valyrian stuff, and I just explained their origins. That's how it could be worked in House of the Dragon. Basically, a Faceless Man could be hired for a number of things that happen in the story, right? Some of the more mysterious deaths. There's examples in Arya's POV, and she learns this by working with the Faceless Men, in particular, and it kind of goes against something that happens in World of Ice and Fire and Lost in Fire and Blood. There's this dude who's known as the Cock of the Moon, right? This Septon that's one of Maegor's biggest enemies. He basically went around preaching that the Targaryens were blasphemous, and he had he would get to sleep with a bunch of people, right? And they would women would let him do this because he was this holy figure, right? But one of the ways he gets, why I'm talking about the Faceless Men is because the way he dies is kind of mysterious, right? So it's proposed to you when you're reading World of Ice and Fire that maybe the Faceless Men killed this Septon dude, right? But then it's they juxtapose it by saying the Faceless Men aren't that sloppy. So basically, one night, this dude's in his camp. He has this woman come up to him, do the normal thing. She's like, hey, can you bless me, Septon, with your pee? And he's like, of course, come here. And she's got a flagon of wine with her, right? So she goes in there. They start doing the deed, and then a gasp is let out, right? And then she runs out of the tent screaming. And then, well, this dude comes out of the tent, and he's this big burly guy. His description reminds me of Maester Marwyn, right? Who's not your typical Maester, right? So this dude comes screaming out of the tent. He's like, oh, where did that wench go? Oh my God, where is she, right? And he's like holding his neck. He's like holding his neck because she obviously stabbed him, and she ran off and disappeared, right? So eventually he succumbs to his wounds, but the rumors are is that he went around to all of the campfires that were in his encampment, and he had thousands and thousands of people that would follow him. And remember, this is this dude that was this religious figure. In short, he's this religious figure who directly opposes Maegor and what's going on with Maegor, right? So the dude dies, but before he dies, one of the rumors is that he goes along to all these campfires and he's like, did you see her? Did you see the woman? Where is she? And then he just collapses, right? But it speaks to how strong he is because he lasted that long. So anyway, his guards... The reason why the Faceless Men idea is even proposed is because his guards can't agree on what this woman, the wench who was like, can you bless me? Can you bless me? Look at my titties, right? They can't agree on what she looks like. So the Faceless Men idea is proposed. But then there's other people who know the Faceless Men directly. This is also mentioned in World of Ice and Fire, right? That Faceless Men don't work that sloppy. The reason why I say it contradicts something that you learn directly through Arya's POV when she works with the Faceless Men is that not every single Faceless Man is... Oh man, I'm super smart. I'm just kidding. This is really good because not every single Faceless Man is as trained as every other Faceless Man. So Jaqen H'ghar is the type of Faceless Man who does something perfectly and is wouldn't do something sloppy like let their victim go running out in the middle of the night undead, right? And trying to figure out who killed him, right? Faceless Men don't work that way. When professional Faceless Men, when Jaqen is killing people in Harrenhal, he's very slick with it, right? So what I'm getting at here is that the whole thing about Faceless Men not being involved with certain events or being involved with certain events, it's possible because not every single Faceless Man is as good as the next one. Some of them could be acolytes is what they're called. Well, they wouldn't be acolytes, but they could be people like what Arya is now where she's given these missions around Bravos. And sometimes, most of the time, she screws up just a little bit or all the way, right? So that's the case. Some of the events that happen in House of the Dragon with the Faceless Men, how they could relate that is... well, we have a bunch of mysterious things, right? So, Aegon too, the way he dies, poisoning, right? He supposedly, the last dragon battle that he has at Dragonstone, he fights Moondancer and Baela, and he's on his dragon Sunfire. And right before they crash into the ground, he jumps off and breaks his legs. So he's carried everywhere. He's got a litter. So when he gets back to King's Landing, his last moments, the last recorded history that's written about him in Fire and Blood is that he goes into his litter and he goes out for a ride, and there's a glass of his favorite sweet red wine sitting for him, right? And he drinks it and he dies. And when it's discovered that he dies, he's got blood on his lips. Faceless Men. Maybe, switch it up for the show, and this would obviously be season 4, someone's waiting in the litter with him, and it could be a character who has recently died. This is a theory that everybody had. Like, Arya would steal Jaime's face and kill Cersei, right? So, Arya would kill Jaime, steal his face, and then kill Cersei. So, maybe that's how the Faceless Men could be linked into House of the Dragon, right? So, instead of having, Aegon II's favorite wine with him, he's got a person with him, right? And that person, is not who they pretend to be. Maybe it's Larys, and for some reason, instead of Larys being killed by Cregan, Larys is killed by a Faceless Man. The Faceless Men could be hired by Rhaenyra, right? Okay, let me actually give some canon excuses for it. The Faceless Men could be hired by Rhaenyra to kill Aegon, and it could be a debt that's paid after Rhaenyra dies, but Rhaenyra leaves King's Landing with no money. She has to sell her father's crown. Her crown, it's funny that the book says she has to sell her father's crown. Well, she wore it, it's her crown. She has to sell her crown to leave the city to buy passage to Dragonstone, ultimately to her death, right? Aegon's waiting there with Sunfire. Aegon's dragon Sunfire is near death. Sunfire is almost dead because Bela and her dragon Moondancer, who Moondancer's barely big enough, right, to ride her dragon. So that's how bad. But also, to be fair, Sunfire's even more badass because Sunfire went through all these fights. But anyway, so like she could hire the Faceless Men before she leaves to King's Landing because she doesn't know canonically that Aegon is waiting for her. So she could pay for the Faceless Men with her father's crown, right? Passage that doesn't even, when you read it, doesn't even make sense because she can't afford a ship for her and her son Aegon, right? Viserys is gone. The only other son that would be alive, Viserys, he's gone across the narrow sea. She thinks he's dead. Aegon III lives for grief the rest of his life because he abandons his brother Viserys, his younger brother Viserys. Remember, we got to meet them in episode 8. They met Viserys, and he goes, oh yeah, the name for a king. Yeah, both of them become kings. But anyway, so yeah, she could pay for the Faceless Men with her father's crown. The Faceless Men are hired to kill Aegon, the two, but that doesn't happen until after she dies. And Rhaenyra does this because she thinks she's retreating to Dragonstone. She lost King's Landing, but ultimately if she can kill her brother, she'll give everything she has to kill her brother, right? I am giving House of the Dragon writers, I am giving you all Ryan Condal. I don't know if you watch any YouTube stuff because Ryan Condal doesn't have social media. He has a podcast, but he doesn't run his social media. I am giving them the ending. Here, take it from me. I'm just a fan, right? Anybody probably thought of this. She hires a Faceless Man to kill her brother, and it's too late because she's already dead. So they show up to kill him after she's already dead. But the price is her crown, her father's crown, right? Her crown, and that's how she pays for her brother to die. So that's how the Faceless Men can be linked in. Hopefully that answers your question, Laura. And then the second one. So what do the Children of the Forest represent? Do they have any connection to fire and blood magic? Or fire or blood magic? And were they in Eternal Spring since there was ice and fire? Where do the children live? Okay, so that's a lot of questions. And if, to be honest, answering them in a way that could be congruent. And I spent most of my time preparing for the stream making these nifty little thumbnails. I like to give you guys on-the-spot answers, which is why I'm so space-brained, right? So, to make it a congruent answer, right? Their whereabouts, the significance, Children of the Forest, blood magic, where do they live, right? So let's start there. Where do they live? They lived all over Westeros. All over Westeros. There was a time in Westeros, right? Before the First Men, who were they're called the First Men because they were the first of mankind in Westeros. Not the first creatures or the first humanoids or whatever you want to call them, but they were the first men, like the men that we see in the show, and women too, obviously. Children, everybody, right? But they were the first ones over there. Before that, the elder races inhabited, and the Children of the Forest are included in the elder races. So you have giants, Children of the Forest, dragons. There were probably wild wyverns and all that stuff over there. It was also probably a group of people that lived in Westeros before the First Men. This is just what we're told. And George writes his books in a way that someone like me and like everybody that's watching this probably that has ADHD, right? It's a nightmare because you always think of something else that would be really clever to mention, and then it makes you really sidetracked, right? But the dragons were probably there, elder races were there, so there was this big. The reason why I say that is because during that time, so that's where the Children of the Forest lived. They lived all over Westeros until they were pushed back north of the wall, and they live in the caves with Breanne and Bloodraven. We saw that on the TV show, but initially they lived everywhere, right? And when they lived everywhere, there was this big battle that was fought where, get this, relating to House of the Dragon, House Hightower. They're called House Hightower because the Hightower is the biggest building in Old Town, and it before Old Town was called Old Town, and it's called Old Town because it's the oldest town in Westeros. Before it was called Battle Isle. There was this massive battle that took place there, and this is mentioned in World of Ice and Fire as a rumor, right? The reason why it was called Battle Isle is because there was this massive onslaught of like all these different creatures. Children of the Forest would war with the giants. Canonically, we know they would do that often, right? There's the Children of the Forest teamed up with the First Men to help get rid of some of the giants because the giants would encroach on their land, and the giants initially were these were way bigger than they were now. They started breeding with men and they got smaller and smaller. That's what happens. It's kind of sad in Dance of Dragons now because the giants are dying. So it's like a endangered species kind of thing. And also the dragons are getting the dragons. Well, the dragons, yes, they did get smaller, and that's what's happening to the giants. And the number of the children of the forest population is dwindling as well, and that's because magic, like I mentioned this in my last live stream and my recent videos, when it dies, the big reason why is because there's no champions to represent that deity to that type of magic in Westeros and Planetos and all of where this world is, and that's when magic dies. So it's not that it dies; it's just the harbinger of it. So Daenerys is the harbinger of fire magic right now. She brought back dragons, right? So the reason why magic is coming back is directly related to her, right? So where did they live? They lived everywhere. Battle Isle was called Battle Isle because there was this massive, the human that were there before the First Men were probably the same group of people that taught the Valyrians how to tame dragons to begin with, but they couldn't ride one of the dragons that the Targaryens and the Valyrians ride because they realized that the dragons have to be bonded to your blood, kind of thing, right? So, the second part, what do the children of the forest represent? The children of the forest represent, I kind of answered that by mentioning the deity thing. So the children of the forest represent, I would say, earth magic, right? So the children of the forest, the way they talk is similar to the way that the White Walkers talk in the books. The White Walkers talk it's like crackling shards of ice. I know I keep closing my eyes because I'm starting to get a migraine. This light that I have on over here, if I turn it on. I think it looks better when I have it on, but I could just try to make my screen brighter. But I know if I fuck with my screen right now, I'll be messed up. Or I'll mess something up. So, the Children of the Forest probably would be like a version of Earth magic, I guess. There's not that many, we don't know a lot about people who worship or would be like an Earth. That's going too far. I would say they represent magic and a loss of something greater, right? So I talked about this with a lot of my friends that I met going to conventions over the years. One of the best things about Lord of the Rings as a kid, right, that lured me into it, and then also, I played Morrowind, and then what was Elder Scrolls that came out before that? But as a kid, and it's the same thing in Morrowind, the computer game, and Lord of the Rings, and then obviously in A Song of Ice and Fire, is there's this sense of lost majesty. So the main story that you're reading or that you're playing through in the game or that you're listening to, right, is after some crazy time period in which everything was awesome. There was all these heroes usually. There was this technology that ends up getting lost. There was all these amazing things that were happening. And then the story starts either 1,000 years after that, 500 years after that, and in A Song of Ice and Fire, 300 years after that in the Doom, right? But then we flash back, and then we go all the way, to Aegon, fresh off the Doom, right? So it's that's what makes fantasy and those types of fantasy stories that have that included in, the lore to it. That's what makes them so good is that type of lost thing, and that's what the Children of the Forest represent, if I had to say. So do they have fire or blood magic? They have probably a combination of both. For A Song of Ice and Fire, they probably are more so related to the old gods in the north now, so they probably had different types of magic that they learned. There's this something called the Shattering of the Arm of Dorne, in which they summoned water magic to shatter the Arm of Dorne, to try to stop First Men from coming over, right? And when that happened, they were using some type of magic to do that. But I don't know what type. Right now in the story, to focus myself, ice magic. They represent pretty much everything of the old gods, the North. So after the wars with the First Men, after the wars with the Giants, they were forced to go up north. Now they kind of live in peace with the Giants. There's probably well, not probably. There is wildlings and other northern houses who have, direct gifts that were given to them from mating and intermingling with the children of the forest through the years. So, are they fire or blood magic right now? No. The blood magic, yes, of course. They're using direct blood with it, which is linked into the old gods of the north, right? So, for instance, right now, Breanne is eating Jojen paste. Jojen, that's not, everybody says that, but it's not confirmed because we don't actually know if Jojen's dead. He was near death, right? So Jojen can see his death and when it's going to happen, right? But he doesn't necessarily know the exact moment. He's like Paul from Dune, right? So Paul gets the gift of foresight. I got a Dune question coming up. I can't wait to answer it. Gets the gift of foresight, and his whole journey is about losing. He doesn't know exactly what's going to happen in the exact moment, and he has all of these futures forced onto him, and he kind of has to find the right one, and reading Dune is so ethereal, or I think that's what it's called, cerebral at times. I feel like I have all of this type of foresight. I'm like, Paul, take the golden path, you dummy, right? Leto too takes the golden path, and we see where that gets him. Let me save the Dune stuff. I'm going to start making Dune videos, I swear. That's kind of what happens with Breanne right now, right? So the blood magic thing, with Jojen, he knows when he's gonna die, but it hasn't been confirmed that he dies yet. So it's a theory because Breanne gets this paste that tastes like blood. It tastes gross to Breanne at first, and then it tastes good. But when Breanne drinks it, it enhances his abilities. So it's basically, it's called weirwood paste. Everybody says Jojen paste, but it's weirwood paste, right? So it's made from the sap from weirwood trees, and it's literally just like Dune spice. It's melange, right? So spice is this essence that enhances foresight ability for the main characters. So the main characters in Dune is all of the Atreides. It takes place over 4,000 years. Over 20,000 years. What am I talking about? I'm reading Heretics of Dune, and it starts at like 1,500 years since Leto II died, right? And he was alive for 4,000 years. 4,000 years after Paul, the main character. It'll be crazy to see where they go with these movies. There's no way they'll go this far, right? But they have a TV show coming out. So Leto dies, right? And then in Heretics of Dune, when it starts, it's 1,500 years after Leto II dies, and then after that, they flash to like 20,000 years into the future. So it's insane. Frank Herbert, it's amazing, but it's a lot. It's a bit much, and I'm glad I took like a week break in between God Emperor and Heretics, because now I'm diving back into to Dune with Heretics. I've only made it, a few chapters in, but like it's amazing, right? So this weirwood paste is also related. Going back to A Song of Ice and Fire, is also related to like what the warlocks drink at the House of the Undying. When Daenerys goes there on the TV show, they don't do it. I don't know. Does she drink Shade of the Evening? I don't even know. It's nowhere near as special as it is in the books. When she drinks it before she goes into the House of the Undying, which is literally why she sees everything she sees when she's in there, right? Basically, she's just getting fondled by the wizards, and they're trying to steal her magic from her. That's really happening. But all the other stuff she sees is literally intensified because she's drinking Shade of the Evening, right? So she drinks that, goes in the House of the Undying, sees all these visions. She sees Rhaegar naming his first son Aegon, and she also sees a feast with Robb Stark where Robb's head is as a wolf. And remember, that happens to Robb in the TV show. They did it. Robb has his head cut off, and his direwolf Greywind, his head is placed on top of that body, and they parade it around like some sick joke, right? Daenerys sees that in the House of the Undying. She also sees former Targaryens, which is really special, right? That's something that I've never really talked about that much in my videos, because I've never done a video directly on, as well as I know House of the Undying now. I've probably talked about it a few times. But she sees other Targaryens. She sees, like, beings that are covered in white flame, and they change. It's amazing, right? So she drinks a substance that is similar to the weirwood paste that Breanne drinks, and when Breanne drinks that weirwood paste, he has a ton of visions. It's basically like the thing I got over there in my closet, that if I crush them up, put them in some tea with some hot water, I'd be blasted off to the moon, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, right? probably way stronger in Westeros. Holy shit. I've been not ignoring the chat, but remember keeping it just slightly out of focus, and I see Claudia. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Thank you. Can't stay. Happy New Year. Is it New Year's yet? No, it's not. I need to, at 11:40, I need to make sure I bring my families up here because we're celebrating. If I'm still streaming, we're going to all celebrate. Everybody's watching. Thank you for that. Holy crap. Can't stay, but thank you, Claudia. Can't stay, but just wanted to wish you and Baby Dragon happy birthday. Thank you. Capricorn all day. Hell yeah, Capo status. I got it tattooed on my body right here. That's a Virgo right there, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's weird because my camera flips everything around. You know what I'm saying? And then also right here, you know what I'm saying? That's one version of it right there, right? You all see that right there? And then there's another one right there. Yeah, there's another version right there. Daddy loves Capricorns. Capricorn all day, hell yeah. Happy New Year to you, the family, and chat. Happy New Year to you as well. That's the amazing long night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Damn, that's crazy. Thank you, Claudia. That's amazing. That's like, I don't know what to say because I'm trying to think of something clever, right? I'll always say that to people in the DMs if it takes me a long time to respond to a message. I'm trying to think of something clever, right? If someone does something nice for me, I'd always try to, if I can return you with some laughs, I feel like we're somewhat even. Thank you for that. Can't think of nothing clever on the spot. My brain is firing on all cylinders because of this orange juice. Because of the lack of orange juice. I've not been sipping it as much. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Thank you. Again, thank you for that. That's awesome. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year to everybody watching. And I think the last question, or the last part of the question that Laura was saying, let me turn that light back on because I feel like it casts a weird shadow on my face. Just put it further away from me. All right. The last part of the question from Laura is, so they have any connection? Okay, and then where were they in Eternal Spring since there was ice and fire? Oh, so like, since there's an eternal, or there's a long night, like a long winter, were they in an Eternal Spring? Probably, for the most part. The Reach is very fertile with food. The North always stays in a perpetual state of, like, the North has these things called summer snows, like we have that kind of weather in real life, right? Certain environments where it's, summer, and most places are just warmer, it'll still snow in colder places, but that happens perpetually in the North. When they have long winters, though, which happens frequently, because they have this tradition of getting rid of anybody who's old and near death, or second or third sons, just people who are not necessarily unwanted, but they know if they stayed, they would cause people who they loved to die. So they willingly would leave and go out to the cold and just go kill themselves. It's going to happen in House of the Dragon when Cregan comes down in the Hour of the Wolf, literally 2 years after Jace asks for his help. Now, it's not going to be 2 years on the TV show, but it's literally 2 years in the book from, like, it happens almost 2 years after Jace. Because Jace goes in the beginning of 129. He gets there, like, midway through 129. And then the Hour of the Wolf happens towards the end of 130 AC. So it kind of is, like, 2 years. But, so that happens. Cregan, when he comes down south, he has a bunch of Northmen with him that go to get rid of, to save their family, from being either dying themselves or suffering from starvation or anything. So was there an Eternal Spring? There probably is, because there's the North that's always in perpetual winter. So there's duality is the symbolism in World of Ice and Fire, right? So, or, in A Song of Ice and Fire. So there's always an extreme opposite to whatever the extreme thing is. So you have dragons, that's fire magic. There has to be an extreme opposite to that, and that's White Walkers. So you have dragons who are as intelligent as people. They're their own race of beings. There's probably, you will learn that Valyrians, or the other ancient, unknown, lost history, dragon riding race of individuals, they could probably speak directly to the dragons. And as a result of that, we have Valyrians using Valyrian phrases like Lakiri, Dracaris, you know what I mean? Zeldrizas postare ixtaur, right? All of these different things are part of that broken language, that system, that it would just be like a mind connection thing. The reason why I say that is because dragons are much more than what they were on the TV show, in the books. And then also, same with the White Walkers. You're going to eventually learn, right? A lot of people think this. We haven't learned yet, but we'll find out in One's a Winner. We'll get more information about what happens at either what's going on at Hardhome, or we'll just get a POV from a character we kind of already did, right? Varmir Sixskins, we find out gets lost in the Wildling village north of the wall. He's the opening POV for, if I'm not mistaken, Dance of Dragons, right? We'll probably find out they have this whole culture that when they talk to each other, it sounds like crackling ice. Maybe we won't ever probably get a POV of a White Walker, but we'll learn someone who knows of their culture, or one of the main characters will be turned into a White Walker, and we'll still know their thoughts for just enough to know about the White Walker element. So was there an eternal spring, to answer your question, bringing this all the way back around? Yeah, probably. Everything is cyclical. Bellacam. Why is that going off? Oh, she knocked it down. Let me set the alarm off just to mess with him. I have Ring cameras all over my house, and when you can set the alarm from the phone, just like on the indoor and outdoor ones too, but it just goes off. This lady, oh my God, I don't know if do y'all have people who, I have a dog, there's nothing wrong, my dog is 11 years old, he has cancer, he diagnosed with cancer a few years ago, and he literally, you wouldn't even notice that he has it, right? I mean, he's 12, he'll be 12 this coming year, right? So he has old dog, symptoms. It's hard for him to walk and stuff like that sometimes, but he's still a pretty spry guy, right? But one of my neighbors lets their dog, this is insane to me, right? Lets their dog outside off the leash all the time. It's not once in a while, it's every fucking day, right? So the other day, I'm walking my old man out in the woods to go poop, like we always do, right? Directly behind my house. And guess what? Leashless lady, right? I'm not going to say the dog's name. I don't want to slander the dogs. I'd rather say the lady's name before I slander the dog's name. But this little dog without the leash is a girl dog, right? I've had to help my neighbor rowl the dog inside her house multiple times. It's insane. Like, I've done it like 5 times, right? So when this happened, this event that I'm talking to, dog runs up on my old man, and he's like, as a dog would be, right? This is his territory. It's right behind his house, right? She looks at me and goes, I'm not chasing. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It sounds so dumb, right? I have to preface this by saying it sounds so fucking dumb. I'm not making this up. She literally goes, if I chase her, she'll just keep running. Oh, no shit. Stop letting your dog outside off the leash. Like, bro, if your dog, listen, I sound like a hypocrite, because when we first moved in here, I would let my old man off the leash because it fucks with his neck. Sometimes he gets a rash around it. Also, he listens like a champ. He's hard-headed. So when he gets, smell into something, like usually his own poo, right? He won't listen. So I'll just walk up to him and put the leash on him. But this lady, she lets her dog out to go pee and poop off the leash. And the dog is like, I have no owner. I am just running around, right? And there's some stray cats that walk around. Not my cats. Indoor cats. I have 2, right? I always talk about Anubis to pass away, right? But I have 2 right now, right? There's some stray kitties that are, I think, owned by people in the neighborhood, and I've seen this leashless dog chase them into the sewer, right? A pretty white cat. Beautiful, gorgeous fur. Got browning around the ears. Blue, amazing eyes. I try to pet it all the time. Very skittish. Probably because it gets chased around by a leashless. Anyway, I'm not hating on the dog, but I'm just saying, the owner. It's amazing that someone could have the balls to... If I chase her, she'll keep running. Yes! Duh! She thinks it's a game. Don't do that. Put the leash on the dog, and then you take the dog out, right? It's such a crazy thing, like, that someone could look me in the eyes, and then, like, this was with the thing, forgetting, I guess, that I've helped them multiple times put the dog back in the house. She goes, but if like, it doesn't matter if I put her on the leash because she'll still just get off of the leash. That doesn't make any sense to me either. But to be fair, the dog is kind of a big dog, which is why I got so upset that it ran at my dog to begin with. My dog is a bigger dog, but he's also an old man, so he, loses weight. He's not as big and bulky as he was when he was younger. He's a boxer, and we think he's a boxer and a beagle, but he's mostly boxer. He's got long legs, and he's real goofy and silly, like boxers are. He looks kind of like when he was younger, he looked like a beagle in the face. Anyway, I got pictures of him on my Instagram. But anyway, and the audacity. It was raining outside. To be fair, it was raining out. So maybe, and then I said, I've helped you get your dog back in 5 times. And I said some curse words at this point because I was pretty upset, right? She's like, you don't talk to women like that. I'm like, oh my God. At this point, I'm not talking to any gender. I'm talking to an irresponsible dog owner. I sounded like an old man. I was like, oh my God. And then guess what? I put my old man up. Right? He has cancer. I keep having to remind it. That's why I'm freaking out, right? I put him back up, and then I go back out and help her get her dog back in because I opened the door, right, to go back out and finish my cigarette and realized the dog is still literally just running around in the rain. She went back in her house and closed the door. So I started to corral the dog back towards her door, and she comes out, sees me doing that, and probably can hear this whole conversation because the walls of my house are really thin. So if she is leashlessly walking her dog right now, she can probably hear me. Guess what, lady? Suck it! Jesus, that's so crazy. I can't believe she said, if I chase her around, she'll keep running. If I don't put gas in my car, it does not drive. Like, have you ever seen a dog before? My God. Or a cat, for that matter. If you chase a cat, the cat's going to keep running from you, too. It's kind of like the law of things. You have to figure out a way to get it. Usually, you prevent the actual event from happening. It's not a reaction to a situation. It's a proaction. Like you take whatever the name of the. All right. Hopefully I answered your question, Laura. And I love animals. That was just, I can't believe that. I'm not even gonna say the breed of the dog because the dog breed gets a bad rap as it is. But I think from me saying that, you can figure out what breed it was. Alright, so the next slide is, that's my guitar. Alright, let's resize this up for the boy Maegor. Okay. This is from Pebbles83. Pebbles83 is a member of my Patreon. Wait. I ain't even mentioned this yet. Daddy's doing a giveaway. For this Daenerys. The winners for, it was one winner, but I posted 2 winners on my Instagram story because one of the winners, Osiris Gaming, you probably seen him in the chat, he did not get his thing until literally almost a month after he won the giveaway on these live streams. Sorry for that. But he was really cool about it. So, like I said, I sent him an original. Hopefully he likes that. If not, maybe he'll win this one. We don't know. It's all open. To be fair, if you've won a giveaway though for one of these arts, just to be fair, I know if your username is Destiny P420 Phillips, you're not gonna give, and you're just gonna keep, or you don't care. You'll just keep entering the giveaway. But I just said, just keep it fair. It's been a bunch of winners, so if you've won, So yes, this is Daenerys. The artist is Blaze Manga. I haven't tagged them in any of my posts, but I will. I'll tag them once I tag the winner. But the Shell, who won the Jon Snow giveaway with Rhaegal, it's a very similar. It's a similar art style, but not a similar image. It's Jon Snow, Rhaegal, and Ghost. Our boy Ghost is in that picture. She won and tagged the artist on Instagram, so you can see them too. Same artist, and the way you win. The rules are pinned. I pinned that. So you have to be publicly following me or publicly subscribed to me here on YouTube and then follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. And then obviously watching this. What I'll do is towards the end of it, it's going to be a whole new year here in an hour, right? I'll pick a number 1 through 33, right? I did 1 through 20 last week. I'll do 1 through 30. I was doing 1 through 500 like a jackass, and it would take like 10 minutes to figure out a winner because I would pick a random number, right? So I'll do 1 through 20 and then 1 through 33, and whoever picks number 1 through 30. You know, I keep picking this up to drink it, and I haven't actually taken a sip yet. Let me actually take a sip this time. Oh, that wasn't that bad. I was bracing. It's mostly watered down now. All right. So yeah, 1 through 33, you'll win. Plain and simple. It costs. It's not that expensive to send this because it's very thin and it's not like something that's large. But there is slight damage on it. I've had this since 2018, right? So that's 4 years. And it was hanging on my wall here and then where I lived before this. So it is slightly damaged, but it's still mostly intact. If you put it, and you can go see what it looks like, what the Jon Snow one looks like. If you go look at Shell's post, she tagged me in it. So you could either, I can't remember what her exact username is, but if you go to my Instagram profile and go all the way over to the right and see posts that I've been tagged in, it's right there. So yeah, and if you want to enter to win that, you got to follow me on Instagram anyway, right? Just to be fair, those 3 things, pretty simple. You probably already subscribed here on YouTube anyway. If you don't have your subscription public, though, I have no way of knowing if you're subscribed. So just switch your subscriptions public, at least for this stream, temporarily, so that I could see, so I can check after I pick the winner. And that'll be next year. I'm picking the winner next year. You suckers have to wait till next. Did y'all used to make that joke as a kid? Like every time I would go home on Christmas break, I'd be like, "Well, see you next year, Miss Melinda. See you next year." Haha. Like in 1999, it was the best. I said it to everybody. I had one teacher. I was in 4th grade, going, from I would actually obviously age over that year, but going into the next year, that was a big one because it was a millennium. So I'd be like, "See you next century." I would laugh for like 10 minutes, and the teacher was like, "Yeah." They were good sports about it, but yeah, that was a good one. Actually, I only started saying that because I heard the teacher say that, so I just kept doing it after. But that was cool. So yeah, y'all will have to wait till next year to find out the winner for this. Haha, sorry. It's 57 minutes from now. I won't do it exactly at midnight. Maybe we should. Maybe we'll do it right at midnight. We'll see. Really, it's like, how long can we stream before, I have to leave from, like, my children. They're downstairs. You know what I mean? I feel like I always mention that in the comments when somebody says something to me. I'm like, "Yeah, but I got my kids." Like, "Yeah, but I got my kids." You know what I mean? And I don't want to use them as an excuse. But yeah, so literally because it's like we go to bed at like 11:30 midnight. So if it's literally right when this, the stream would be wrapping up. But not right now. We still got a while till then. So this is from Pebbles83. Thank you for the super chat, Pebbles, and also thank you for your support over on Patreon. Pebbles says, "Happy birthday." Thank you. I know this is going way back, but I found the story of the Black Brides interesting. During Maegor the Cruel's time in Fire and Blood, can we discuss the intrigue and betrayal of his brides? I would love for them to make a show about that. Me too. Maybe not a show that's specifically based on... it would be cool to have like someone who's a really badass fighter, right? Someone who's like 6 foot. It would be cool to have Henry Cavill play Maegor the Cruel. Everybody wants that, right? I'm not saying you do from that, but that would be cool. That would be a really dope actor to play that character. But I think the show would have to be it would have to be our version of Aegon's conquest, right? So if they see the time jump did well in House of the Dragon, we start out with Aegon conquering Westeros, and for the most part, that could be 2 or 3 episodes of all-out war. We get to see Balerion, who the skull we saw in House of the Dragon, and in Game of Thrones, but it doesn't count. The correct skull in House of the Dragon, and also Vhagar. Vhagar will die at the end of House of the Dragon, so we'll get to see Vhagar in her prime, conquering Westeros for 3 episodes. Then that ages into the Maegor Sons of the Dragon, Aenys. So you kind of, for Maegor's story, it would be condensed, but for the most part, we'd see him as a kid, right, as he's conquering, I guess in the episodes, they would mess up the timeline. Obviously, Maegor and Aenys aren't born until after Westeros is already established, right? Well, not far from established, but recently united. 6 kingdoms, not 7. It's always given to Aegon that he united 7 kingdoms, but that's not the case. United 6. So the children, Aenys and Maegor, sons of the dragon, wouldn't be born until after that. But they could switch it up for the show just to give us them as they're younger, right? And we could see certain scenes with Maegor and Aenys and how they are. So Aenys is more of like a poet. The relationship is literally Viserys and Daemon, right? So Viserys is this king in the books who loved to party. Daemon is this dude who loved to joust. He loved to win tourneys, right? So you have that inversed even more. So you have a brother who's meant to rule, kind of, but doesn't have that bloodlust. And it's honestly a good thing that Viserys didn't have that bloodlust, because the kingdom would have fallen apart. At least that's what they insinuate on the TV show, right? But that's even inversed even more in Aemon, because Aemon loves beating people up, but he hates the glory about it. But he wants to rule, right? So it's like he's got all of these different traits from his recent ancestors. So getting back on track here, Sons of the Dragon would be a really good show if they did it in the guise of, like, we saw part of the conquest, aging into Maegor the Cruel, and then eventually the last season or two seasons, or however long they decided to do, would be the Black Brides, right? So in short, we have one of them, Tiana of the Tower. Tiana of the Tower, she's, in my opinion, one of the most important ones. Probably would be his first one on the TV show, just because if you're condensing it for a show, Maegor literally... All right, so let me do this, right? So Aenys dies. He literally dies of... He's got a bad gut. He goes to bed with a bad belly, right? And then he finds out his daughter... I'm closing my eyes this time because I want y'all to see I'm not looking at nothing. This is pulling all from memory. I listened to like 3 hours. Well, not listened all the way, but listened, partly read for 3 hours to get ready for this, right? So Aenys, I'm building myself up. Yeah, let's do this. I haven't opened my eyes once, right? So Aenys basically dies. He's got a bad gut, but also he finds out that his son, Aegon the Uncrowned, and his daughter, also his son's wife, because they get down like that, are trapped in a keep and they have no way of getting out, right? So he dies from the news of that. And then when Aenys dies, Visenya, Aegon's dead at this point. Aegon the Conqueror is dead at this point. Aenys' mother, Aenys' mother, is dead at this point, right? So Visenya, as soon as she finds out that Aenys dies from the sad news that his daughter and his son are trapped in a keep, not dead, but just trapped in a keep, he dies, right? Aenys is this weak dude. He's meant to be a weak king. He loves poetry, doesn't like fighting like his brother Maegor. So as soon as he dies, Visenya, Maegor's mom, goes and gets Maegor. And you're like, well, where's Maegor anyway? Maegor should be next to his brother. Obviously, the faith of militant and stuff, they're fighting Aenys, and that's why his son and daughter, Aegon, it's getting ridiculous to keep my eyes closed, but I want to prove a point that I'm not looking at any sort of notes. Aegon and his sister, they're trapped in a castle, right? So Maegor should be helping them fight. The Faith Militant is rebelling against Aenys because Aenys isn't Aegon, and Aegon was allowed to marry his sisters, but Aenys isn't because he's not Aegon the Conqueror. So as soon as Aegon dies, the Faith Militant, Faith of the Seven, they start warring against the Targaryens because they're doing incestuous things. Remember what Alicent says? The Targaryens have queer customs, right? So when they're warring, Aenys dies because his son and his daughter are trapped in a castle, and he's like, oh my God, they're probably going to die too, at least that's what he thinks. So he just gives up on life, right? And then Visenya, okay, not his mom, Visenya is his aunt, also his stepmom, because his mom, Rhaenys, dies in Dorne. Long story. Aegon's dead at this point, Rhaenys is dead at this point, Aenys is dead at this point. Visenya leaves to go get Maegor, who's exiled because he wanted to take multiple wives. So she goes and gets Maegor. Maegor then crowns himself. I'm going to not be able to see anything because my eyes are going to be so messed up from the light. Maegor crowns himself king in King's Landing. He's like, look, if anybody has problems, come see me. It's my favorite part. That's why the Maegor the Cruel show would be amazing, right? He's like, if anybody has problems, come see me, baby, right? And then, of course, the Faith Militant, right? The Stripes, the Stars, right? They're like, yes, we will challenge you. They ride down deep as hell, a couple hundred if I'm not mistaken, and go and fight him atop the hill of Rhaenys. It's like a Faith Trial by Seven kind of thing. It's interesting because when Maegor first does it, he doesn't have anybody to fight with him. He's just crowned king, and at first, he's like, will no one stand with me? And this one dude stands, and then everybody else is sort of guilt-tripped into doing it. So they have a Trial by Seven combat. It's not really described that much in Water of Ice and Fire, but in Fire and Blood, it's described really heavily. Ultimately, to condense things, because my eyes are closed, right? Maegor suffers greatly. He wins, but ultimately, he's barely alive. So, that's when the first wife comes in, Tiana of the Tower. That's why I think she's the most important one. Answering your question. Pebbles83, sorry. I forgot your username for a split second. I remembered all that, but I forgot your username. I cannot. That's embarrassing. All right, so Tiana of the Tower is brought in, right? And she heals Maegor instantly. Literally the next day, Maegor stands up, and he, continues ruling Westeros. So the first wife, there we go. That was at least like 5 minutes, maybe? Right? That was 5. No, it wasn't. It felt like 5 minutes because my eyes were closed and I'm on substance. Like, if they were giving me a test right now, I would fail miserably because they'd be like, close your eyes and count to 10. And I'd be like, dude, it's been 30 seconds. No, it hasn't. It's been 5, you idiot. No. But yeah. Oh, that's good. So Tiana of the Tower would be one of the wives. Tiana of the Tower is the most important one, and also, guess what? The worst one, the most hated one. Tiana, basically, in the end, to condense things, poisons all of Maegor's potential brides. Like, literally, that's what happens to a couple of his other brides, except for Rhaena. Rhaena is the sister of Jaehaerys, and she survives. She has 2 twins, Arya and Rhaenys, and oh my God, so many names, confusions. That's where it messes me up. But it's way easier to remember than actual English history or Byzantine stuff for that matter. Because those names are wild. Like, you'll be reading about Pippin the Short, and then it'll switch up and be like, this dude, Tiberius the such and such. And then you switch, you get the Muslim caliphates, and I can't even say that. Sak al-Jawad? Like, I'm like, what? I can't, this is hard. And I have some experience with Dune because, Bene Gesserit, let me say some Dune stuff. Jacarutu, right? I don't even know if these are Arabic words. I just know that these are Dune words, which is based off of like this form of Arabic that would have supposedly survived 20,000 years in the future, right? So, Yafir Tawat. Tufir Hawat. Let's see. Baron Harkonnen. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. Sietch Tabor. Let me see. It's fun to speak the names of things in Dune like you were in Lord of the Rings. Because if you Lord of the Rings nerds, they go Celebrimbor. You know what I mean? Or Eru Eluvatar. Right? So it's fun for me to do that with the Dune stuff. So what did I do? Sietch Tabor. Already did that one. So we got Emperor Leto II. House Atreides. The Dune names are just failing me right now. Oh man, Miles. That's one of the main characters in Heretics that I'm reading right now. I can't think of like all, but just trust me. There's so many words like that. Tiana of the Tower, right? So something about that. We're going back to that. I went a little bit too far. Let me reread Pebble's question. That'll trigger my line of thought. I know this is going way back, but I found the story of the Black Brides interesting. During the Maegor the Cruel, I'm gonna read it like I'm rapping. I know this is going way back, but I found like the story was Black Brides was interesting. During Maegor the Cruel's time in the Fire and Blood, yeah, that was simpletons. I'm just adding in words to make it rhyme. Can we discuss the intrigue and betrayal of his brides? Okay, so Tiana, yes, of the Tower. So she's, like I said, first and most important because she ends up poisoning his other potential brides. One of them, Cerise, something like that. Not Stannis' wife, so it's not Cerise, but she's a high tower. A war gets caused. Maegor fights a war because potentially she ends up. Maegor gets women that are is told by a bunch of his advisors that he should get someone who's proven fertile. He should marry his niece Rhaena, and guess who suggests that? Frickin' a Velaryon. One of his close advisors who's a Velaryon, right? But it just makes sense because they're trying to keep their blood close. I think he's the one who suggests that. But anyway, so he takes Rhaena, because that's his niece. And then also he marries a couple of brides that are proven fertile. And then he marries Tiana of the Tower because she saved his life, right? So she ends up, Tiana of the Tower ends up poisoning. And she's of the spider, too. She has that, like, nickname of the spider. So I wonder if she won't potentially be related to something with Varys somehow. Or maybe he took that from her because he knows histories or something. But anyway, so basically she poisons most of them, right? So Rhaena survives, and then I think Cerise survives, if I'm not mistaken. One of them survives and then ends up becoming a septa, right? And they potentially are still alive at the start of the dance, when the dance starts off, I think. I'm going too far into lore that I'm not that sure on. So Tiana ends up dying, obviously. The way she dies is she knows she's about to be tortured. That's a key thing there. She tortured pretty much everybody. One of the biggest things that cursed Maegor is because he killed Aegon, and this is really cool. Maegor killed Aegon the Uncrowned. So this is Aegon the Conqueror's grandson, right? And in reference, Jaehaerys is Aegon the Conqueror's grandson as well, right? And Daemon is Jaehaerys' grandson. Right? So you get that? Jaehaerys is Daemon's grandpa. Aegon is Jaehaerys' grandpa. This Aegon, the Uncrowned, who I'm about to talk about, is Jaehaerys' brother. I don't know. They're all so related. He's probably got enough DNA mitochondria to be his brother. That's how they do that. So that was a pretty good Baltimore egg scene. What do y'all think about Baltimore? Shit. Okay. So Maegor, right? The thing that curses him the most, because he gets the nickname the Cruel, because he does a couple of cruel things, several cruel things, right? And I'm kind of talking about his wife's leading into ultimately Tiana of the Tower's death, right? Tiana, whatever. It's known as the battle below the God's Eye, right? So the gods are watching it happen. Just for dragon terms, this is when Balerion the Black Dread kills Quicksilver the same way that Lucerys pretty much is like Lucerys and Arrax are eaten up by Vhagar, what we saw in House of the Dragon. Very similar situation because Balerion was that much bigger, right? Balerion, in his heyday, I don't want to get in dragon size. That'll get me too sidetracked. Balerion was massive, and he just instantly murked the crap out of Aegon and Quicksilver. And yes, I'm edgy enough to curse. I'm just trying to, if it hasn't been demonetized, I want to try to keep it not demonetized. But anyway, so that happens. But that's called the battle beneath or below the God's Eye, right? And the battle above the God's Eye is Aegon and Aemon, almost meaning that it's justified. So Maegor killing Aegon, his nephew, it was such a cruel act. It was unjustified, and Maegor became cursed because of it. But the battle above the God's Eye, which means it's like above the God's head, right? The gods aren't directly watching it. They aren't influencing they aren't going to influence events after whatever happens in the fight, right? It may be justified. And that's just me reading into things too much. But I just thought in my, 3 hours of research to answer this one question, I swear to God, Pebbles, right? Over 3 hours, right? To answer this question, I had that thought because, I've read it and listened to it a bunch. So it just made me think like, that's crazy that, the battle below the God's Eye, Maegor the Cruel and Aegon, this crazy unjustified fight. But when you read Fire and Blood and how we see it on the TV show for House of the Dragon, Daemon and Aemon are both justified depending on how you want to feel, right? So Aemon, at this time when it happens in the battle above the God's Eye, is a justified point in that, according to tradition and laws, right? So at this time, it'll be interesting to see how they play with the storyline on the TV show. But at this time in the books, it's alluded to that Aemon is wearing the crown and is King Aemon in everything but name. Aemon never takes King Aemon. He sits the Iron Throne, he wears the crown, but he doesn't take the name, right? So he very much could be wearing the Conqueror's crown doing this, right? And he's King Aemon and everything but name, but he's justified in the sense that his brother, according to all Westerosi laws, in the Faith of the Sevens laws, which is an active god, we just talked about how they have all of these different, deities or demigods, champions that represent them on Earth in Westeros and in Essos and stuff. And when they die, that god loses their magic until they have another champion. I don't know. Anyway, that battle was justified. So Aemon is justified in the sense that he's got all of the laws and tradition of Westeros on his side. And then Daemon is justified in the sense that, no, Rhaenyra was the named heir from the king who is the rightful king. The previous king, the great king, the old king, right? Jaehaerys passed his crown to Viserys. Viserys passed his crown to Rhaenyra. It doesn't matter how you want to look at it. Both claims are very much justified. And they're probably going to make it even more justified on the TV show. So, getting back to the bride thing. Tiana of the Tower dies. She knows she's about to be tortured because she clearly knows, because that's what she would do to all of Maegor's enemies potentially. So to save herself, that she confesses to killing all of Maegor's. Well, that's how she gets in the situation herself. Like, she's blamed on that, right? So she confesses to killing all of his. Like, he had a couple stillborns and his potential babies, right? And she confesses to doing all that, and she's like, you were never going to have an heir anyway. So Maegor cuts her heart out. And that's pretty much how the end of that TV show would be. So let me see the rest of what you said. Can we discuss the intrigue for the brides and all? So hopefully that answered your question, Pebbles. Also, thank you for the super chat, and thank you for your support on Patreon. This poster got in the way, but I promise I'm going to be doing the giveaway here shortly. It's almost New Year's, so that's exciting. All right, so the next one. Let's see. Oh, I went too far down. Choop. Oh, crap. Oh, Jesus. There we go. Alright, so this one is from Mixed Queen Destiny Phillips 420, who I have not seen in the chat. So I don't even know if I'll answer this because she's not here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to answer it. But wouldn't that be funny if I was that petty? It's like, she's not here. I'm not going to answer. The only reason why I say that is because I message her often. She sends me videos of really weird, random animal stuff. Like, I send people videos from Your Mom's House subreddit, and she'll send me a video of... I'm not even going to mention it because it'll get demonetized here on you. Oh, you're here? Okay. I guess I'm going to answer your stinking question. No, I'm just kidding. What's up? The chat was like way back, so I didn't see who was here. All right, so Mixed Queen Destiny Phillips for 20 says, what's next for Dune? All right. You like that thumbnail I made specifically for your question? I've been doing this for all of these questions. Y'all like that? I think it looks cool. It was really easy to do. It took me like 30 seconds. She says, whoa, I already read that. What's next for Dune? So, Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 is coming out in November. Dune Part 2 will probably end right. Spoilers for Dune. I've been talking to spoilers for Dune for a couple times during this live stream. It would probably end right when Paul goes into a coma, right? So, Paul and the Atreides in general have a weird aversion. Aversion's not the right word. You see, I keep trying to slip in big words that I'm learning from reading, but I'm not using them correctly. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna sound like an accomplished author by the time I finish reading all of these books. But anyway, there's a point I think that will happen at the end of Dune where Paul, they are sensitive to spice. It increases their abilities a lot, but also it sort of makes them, for instance, Paul's sister, right? She ends up, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler because there's been like a Dune movie. There's been several Dune movies, right? Basically, Aaliyah ends up going crazy, right? So she she becomes self-aware in childbirth. She becomes aware of not just her presence. So it'd be like if you took me, shrunk me down to the size of a baby, but kept my brain the same, and then put me in the womb. I'd be like, what the heck is going on? It'd be nuts. But then you'd connect me to every single person that I've ever have existed to in my life ever on my father's side and on my mother's side. That's like 1 million bajillion people. You become aware of their presence all at one time. So this is what happens to Aaliyah in the womb. She's like a few days old, a few weeks old, and it's because Jessica consumes this, what's known as the water of life, right? None of this has happened yet. This is going to happen in Dune Part 2. She consumes the... Wait. Did it happen in Part 1? I haven't seen Part 1 in a while. I feel like they just got the Sietch Tabor, and they didn't even... Yeah, she hasn't even had the baby yet. So yeah, anyway, Aaliyah becomes fully aware later on in life, right? When she ends up ruling after Paul dies, but really he goes off into the desert, comes back as the prophet. He ends up getting stabbed to death by this dude in the yellow robe, right? Random dude. I don't even think it's ever addressed who the actual person is that stabbed Paul. It was just a random person that praised the prophet. Or, well, praised Aaliyah. Paul was blaspheming against the religion. So anyway, Part 2, right? So Jessica consumes the water of life, and then Paul consumes the water of life too. An excessive amount of Valance, super concentrated. The spice, Dune, it's like it smells like cinnamon. They put it in coffee in the books a lot. Spice coffee, Dune coffee, Arrakis coffee makes me want to just try to put some pumpkin spice or something in my coffee every now and then. But anyway, Paul ends up passing out in being near dead, in a coma for like 2 weeks. And then Jessica, Reverend Mother Jessica Mohaim, calls for Chaney to show up, Zendaya. And Zendaya saves Paul's life. So that's probably what's going to happen in Dune Part 2 at the end. It'll be like... It'll maybe not a cliffhanger because the first one was kind of like a cliffhanger. Everybody thought they were going to get the Sietch Tabor more established, and then we'll see Aaliyah. It'll be crazy. Aaliyah hasn't been cast, and that's Paul's sister, the one who becomes aware in the womb, hasn't been cast yet for the movie. So the dude who's doing these Dune movies, Denis Villeneuve, I'm not good with names. It's a secret how they're going to do that because when she's 2 years old, she stabs Joe Rogan. She stabs Joe Rogan in the stomach, like in the side of his stomach. Now, if you don't know this, Joe Rogan in a meme looks exactly like Baron Harkonnen. The dude, William, right? From True Blood's dad in real life. What's his name? This is embarrassing. I can't believe I can't think of their name. But that dude has like 10 kids. The dad. The dad is the one playing Baron Harkonnen. Looks like Joe Rogan when he's in his ice bath off of the testosterone up his butt. Right? That's who Baron Harkonnen looks like. And this little girl, Leah, who's self-aware of everything, walks up and just shanks him. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do eventually at the very end of, this iteration of Timothy Chalamet playing Paul Atreides. Eventually, he's not going to be able to play him because he becomes this old... Well, maybe they could, but, in Dune Messiah, he becomes this old man. Well, no, that's in Children. In Children of Dune, he becomes this old man who, lives out in the desert. You know what I'm actually a little bit disappointed with, since we're speaking of Dune, with the Dune movies, is I like the decision to change Liet Kynes into a woman. I can get down with it. That's fine. But the way, unless she's not actually dead, which I'm pretty sure she is, the way that she dies, Liet Kynes, right? The way he dies, like I said, I don't care they change. That never really bothers me. It shouldn't bother anybody. It should only bother you if it's bad. If you did a decision like that and it was at the detriment of the movie, you know what I mean, right? But anyway, the death wasn't the same. Liet Kynes, the way he dies in Dune, it's amazing. It's never amazing when a character you like dies, but Liet Kynes is this ecologist who's in charge with terraforming Dune and turning it from this desert. And honestly, Frank Herbert loves the desert so much, he convinced me that I would totally be okay with living in Egypt. Well, I would live in Egypt because of the pyramids anyway, but I mean just be okay with, if I wasn't living in Egypt, just living in the desert, period, because of how beautiful he describes Arrakis, right? But, what was I talking about? I knew that was gonna happen. I try to show off with my skill case of knowledge about things that don't really exist, and then I just get distracted. Happens to the best of them, man, and I'm the best of them, man. That's my inner monologue. All right, what is it? What were we talking about here? Living in the desert. I would do it. Paul becoming old. Yeah, but I don't. All right. And then the next question, I'm not going to read it out loud because I'll get demonetized, but you can see it. Destiny's a very, very silly, very, very silly individual. Okay? Obviously, mine is the size of the actual actor, Peter Dinklage. Meaning, if Peter Dinklage were in this room and I whipped out my penis, Peter Dinklage would be like, sorry, I'll come back later. And you may be thinking, like, what does that even mean? Well, Peter Dinklage would assume that was another person his size. And be like, I didn't know there was a naked little person up here. It's not a little naked person, Peter Dinklage. That's my penis. I swear to God, I just came up with that joke right now. Right now. Thank you for getting me demonetized. Destiny. Thank you for that. And also, you had a Buffy question where you asked about who Willow dated in the end. And to be honest, I don't remember Willow's relationship in the end. I remember the show ending. So I'm going to have to rewatch before I can answer that question. But there is a Buffy question from another user. And you said that was your question anyway. So, bam! You got that. Let's see. All right, this one is from... wait. That one wasn't supposed to pop up yet. Hang on. I do them in the order that I got them submitted. All right, so this one's from Billy Baba Robertson. What's up, dude? He was one of the first people in here watching. He said, happy birthday, dude. Well, thank you. And here's the Buffy question. I literally didn't even look at Spike in the silence. So the thumbnail answers the questions, kind of. Happy birthday, dude. Thank you. I've just started rewatching Buffy and Angel with the lady. She's never seen them before. Favorite Buffy episode and favorite character from Buffyverse, Angelverse. All right, so favorite character, Spike. Bloody William. I don't even, it's not even a contest. Like, Angelus, I'd like him, but Spike, not only gets with Buffy, but not very many people thought Drusilla was attractive, but I did. I thought Drusilla was attractive. And then also, the actress Drusilla does accents really well, and I admire them. I think I followed them on Twitter even. If not, it was an accident, and I didn't mean to unfollow her. But the actress who plays Drusilla, as a kid, thought was very attractive. I was also scared of her, because she's like, a vampire, and I was 9, right? But I was also like, yeah, totally, I would do it to her. Yeah, totally. She'd have to kill me, but I'd do it to her, right? So he got with her and the main character, Buffy, right? So, Spike. Also, he's badass. He stayed murdering people all the time. Favorite episode was actually my least favorite episode when I watched the show when it was coming out, right? Hush. Scared the crap out of me. It won a bunch of awards. Least favorite episode of Buffy, I know you didn't ask this, but the musical. The singing. What were they thinking? Terrible. I mean, the people, they did a good job singing, but it was too much. All right, so the next one is the one that I just previewed before by accident. It's from Claudia Harras. Hang on, let me adjust the thing. And she says, I should read the books so I don't make an ass. Oh, thank you for your support, by the way, Billy Bong Thornton. And that wasn't even the end of your question. There was another question. Wasn't there? I think, yeah, there was. Oh, well, no. Favorite episode, favorite character. And you were just mentioning... Okay, so yeah. All right, cool. Sorry about that. All right, going back. Oh, wait. Damn, y'all are seeing all of them. All right. Y'all just seeing all of them. Let me just make them small real quick. All right. So... Wait, we already did that one. Where was Claudia's question? Okay, first one, second one, third one, fourth. There we go. Okay. And this is kind of like you're answering the questions. This will be hard because you're answering some of the things, and it's more like a statement, right? But thank you for your support. This is from another member of my Patreon, Claudia V. Haras, and she says, I should read the book so I don't make a butt out of myself and ask silly questions. I say silly because, it's not. There's no such thing as a stupid question. That actually, you know what? That's not true. There are some stupid questions, and I can think of a really stupid one right now. If you walked up to George R. Martin and you said, hey, bro, are you almost finished with Winds of Winter? That would probably be one of the very few occasions where it would be a stupid question, right? Because I think as soon as he actually finishes it, it would be out. You could make a good argument that maybe he's waiting, but that would be... Okay, so anyway. Breanne the Builder constructed the wall to keep the White Walkers away after the long night, right? Yes, Breanne the Builder is credited with building not just the wall, but many monuments throughout Westeros. He's credited with giving certain rulers during the Age of Heroes advice on how to construct certain things. But continuing on, the Starks made the Pact of Ice and Fire with Aegon and bent. That's not really the Pact of Ice and Fire. That's the king who knelt Torrhen Stark. Is that what you're talking about? The Starks made the Pact of Ice and Fire with Aegon and bent the knee because they knew Aegon's prophecy wasn't bull, and they were going to need their dragons to defeat them. Hence, okay, so that was a statement. Ned hid Jon's true identity and defended Dany from Baratheon because Ned knew a Targaryen must sit the throne. Maybe. I think it was more that Robert was going to kill him. And then the last part, Ned recovered Cat's Paw to avoid someone finding out about the problem. Ned recovered? Oh, you mean for the TV show? I don't know if they're going to retroactively try to combine... and I'm looking now to see if you're in the chat to clarify. I might have to come back to this. I'm going to come back to this. All right. So we did that one. All right. So this is from... nope. Wait. Did I finish all of those? I think I did. This one? Yep, I think that was the last one from Patreon. Yeah, because I had Cass. I don't know if Cass submitted to me one on Twitter. That would have been the last Patreon one. I was going to make a thumbnail for it, but Reflective Rambling did not submit that one. If you did in the chat and I missed it, I'm sorry. So these last couple ones that I'll do before I actually just respond with the chat, and it's 20 minutes from New Year's right now. Happy New Year's. The one thing I have not checked at all is to see how many people has been watching us, watching me. 50 people, nice, that's dope. 50 people decided to hang out with me on New Year's, and it's always a party on New Year's, so that's amazing that you guys are watching me. Thank you. So let's see. This is from just a comment from a video that I did a couple weeks ago. Actually, no. That's not true. The comment's from a couple weeks ago. The video is from one that I did on called the Holtzman shields, which are the shields that are used in Dune, and it was before I actually read Dune, so the video is really bad. But I answered the question recently to give the guy a good answer, but I just wanted to pull it because it was fun for this video. It's a really funny question. Question: could an AK-47 be effective against these shields? No, right? So the shields themselves, right? So they're called the Holtzman shields, but you don't find that out later on until like books that were written by Frank Herbert's son, Brian Herbert, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he gives the Brian Holtzman, the Holtzman shield. It's the Holtzman name. Right now, it's just called a shield. In the 4 or 5 books that I'm reading, it hasn't been called the Holtzman shield until afterwards. I found that out from looking at the wiki page when I made this video. But the reason why an AK-47 couldn't work against the shield is because bullets, in short, move way too fast. And the shield is designed to block anything that's moving fast. So that's why they use hand-to-hand combat with knives. Knives are the only things that move, well, dart guns too. But for the most part, they choose swords and knives, and you see, Paul in the movie training with weapons, is because those are the things that get through his shield, right? So sometimes they use darts that are poisoned, right? So the Tleilaxu and the Ixians are these two groups of individuals that we haven't seen yet in the movies, but they're like the Atreides' ultimate enemies, right? So there's this dude right now, for instance, in Heretics of Dune. He's part of the Tleilaxu face changers, right? And there's these things called, they're these revered mothers that went away in this event called the Scattering after Leto II died, right? And when they went away, they come back to the Tleilaxu, and they don't, the Tleilaxu who stayed and didn't go out into the outer reaches of the unknown sections. And if that sounds like Star Wars, that's because Star Wars stole it from Dune, right? But anyway, these they're basically Tleilaxu Reverend Mothers, right? They go out in these far reaches of space, but then they come back after centuries, and this one main character doesn't know what to expect. He ends up killing them. The way he kills them is he has these poison darts in his sleeve, and he trained for years, his whole life, in how to use these poison darts, and he would flick them, right? It's because everybody has shields. That's why AK-47s and guns and pistols, they don't work. Too big, they move too fast, and the shield just deflects it. You got to have something that moves slow or at just the right speed, like a dart gun. A lot of times, to double the effectiveness of a dart gun, they'll coat it in poison. The poison on the dart gun will make it through the shield, and a lot of times dukes and people in the lesser and greater houses are trained in poisons. They have this thing called a snooper that sits above the dinner table that snoops out any poisoned. Frank Herbert tells you that as soon as you're reading the first Dune book, because you're like, oh crap, these people are being poisoned and assassinated left and right. So they have certain resistance to certain poisons. But a lot of the times, if you get one of these dart guns, which you could say this, if you just wanted to be fun, you could say this dart gun is an AK-47. You make it an actual dart gun, coat it in poison. It'll move slow enough, and then you can say, yes, I used an AK-47 to get past the shields in Dune. The next question, this one is more, back to House of the Dragon. Cole is definitely rocking some small penis energy. Tormund is just an absolute legend, so I'd want him to have the biggest spam javelin. Why does everybody think Christian Cole has a tiny? That's not fair, right? I understand because of his attitude, but that doesn't necessarily mean. I guess it's just fun for the show. Yeah. What do y'all think? Everybody in the chat, who's got the bigger? I gotta be careful wordplay so we don't get demonetized. Probably already demonetized anyway, but who do y'all think has the bigger? What's your who's it's in the chat? Let me know. Well, you can see it on the screen. We'll see. All right, and then let's see next. Was that it? I think that was it. Yep. Oh wait, nope. This was okay. So I haven't answered this one yet. This is from username C66, and the ones that you've seen that I've answered, the past 3 ones haven't been from Patreon members. These are just random people that are commenting on my videos. I don't know if they're subscribed or not. I just picked the comments. The person said, "Damn, I can already see assassination attempts working on Breanne, but he can see the future and past everywhere." So that's another just fun comment. I can see Breanne. That's probably part of the reason why the show gave us the logic in the end, was that he was one of the best kings, and that's because he can see something like an assassination on the king, or an attempt on the king, rather. But like I said, that was just a fun little joke. Let me do that. Well, didn't mean to do that. Did I do that again? Hang on. I gotta make all these disappear. And then bring this back up. Okay. Alright. It is 15 minutes from the new year. I'm about to go get something that will make a noise, right? Also, wait a second. Let me look in the chat and see if there's any. Oh, Barbara Walters. Oh, yeah, she passed away. So did Benedict Pope, the one who looked like Palpatine, who was genuinely more evil than Palpatine. It's crazy. It's been 2023 for 4 hours and 40. No, it hasn't, Melanie. It's, we got 14 minutes still. I think there's more people that live in the East. I'm just kidding. I don't want to say that. I want to sound like gatekeeping the new year. I'm gatekeeping the new year. But it could be true. Is that a true fact? Is it more people that live in the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time Zone? Because not everybody lives on the East Coast, but just in the Eastern Standard Time Zone because of large cities like New York, Atlanta, Philadelphia, where I was born at, right? You don't really want to count it, but also cities in Florida, right? Pretty big. And then also you go up into Canada, and then I think, if I'm not mistaken, you go into parts of South America, and then also up your butt, right? Those are all in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. No? Was that not funny? Nobody laughing there? Just kidding. But yes, Melanie is in the UK. Message retracted. What happened? What did you say there? Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year, Melanie. R.I.P. Barbara Walters. Man, crazy. I honestly, you know what? I honestly got her and Betty White's death confused. So I thought she was already passed away. Oh, MO7, what's up, bro? Happy New Year, bro. Can't stay, but we'll watch tomorrow. Hopefully you watch this in the morning. If you're watching this now, thank you for your support. If I'm not mistaken, I know you're a member on Patreon as well. Thank you for your support, man. And also thank you for the super chat. Reflective Rambley says, smash the like bell like your Bobby B with the war. So what was your question? You're here in the chat right now, Cass. What was your question? Are you still here? I know you said you would pop in and out, but you never sent me the question. So I could have made you one of those cool looking thumbnails. That cool looking thumbnails. Stories like this break my heart. Huh? Yeah, no, this... Oh, I don't want to get riled up. She would... If I would have suggested to this woman to do research to find out the best type of collar to fit her, she would look at me like I am pointing a knife at her or something. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even making that up. The amount of audacity she showed on her face when I said you should just run after your dog because your dog's, running around and it's not safe, and like it's also raining, and like there's people that are driving through the neighborhood, your dog's running through the road, right? The sheer confidence and audacity in which this woman looked at me as if I had just said, like I walked up to her and just started speaking in tongues or something. The audacity that she would show if I said something like, hey, just do a little bit of research and find something. Like, I would think a harness, because I've seen the kind of collars she has now. There's the ones that they make that are like little mini vests. We used to use it for my dog, but he's barrel-chested, so we stopped using it because it didn't look very comfortable on him. But it's literally the ones that you put their arms through, and it wraps around their belly, and it's got like, the leash is not at their neck, it's at their back where they pull the most at. It was recommended to us by the vet because they said this is good for boxers. Or maybe it was just someone at the pet store or something. Besides the point, that's probably the best. It would be good for her dog because her dog is shorter too, so it wouldn't have the same problems my dog did. But if I were to take the time to suggest that, the amount of stress and anxiety that it would take to do that. And her daughters knocked on my door and I bought candy from, like, the fundraiser thing. So, like, how are you going to just let your dog... And then look at me like, she's not going to bite me. I know your dog's not going to do that, but my dog doesn't know that. So how am I going to be able to keep two dogs who I only have the leash of one, and one listened? It was just nuts. It's crazy. Rest in peace, Barbara Walters. Oh, crap. Super chat from Cass. Thank you. You did not have to do that. Thank you for that. No message, just the bouncing, I believe, Shogun. Is that a Shogun emoji thing? What is that? Dancing. Thank you for that. And then another one. Thank you. Jesus, you were going ham. How did I miss all this? I feel like a butthole. Let me make the, hang on. That would be the appropriate size so that I don't miss that stuff. Because I swear I'm like it looks like it's a good size, but the actual letters are probably like 4 chart. And I'm gonna be honest, years of editing videos probably made my eyes from watching porn way worse. Like, I mean, squinting in the dark kind of thing. But just editing, I don't use rather the blue screen filter on my monitor. Came with some sort of blue light filter thing for eyesight stuff, but I just don't use it. I don't even know why I started talking about that. Oh yeah, because I can't see the chat. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I missed all of this stuff. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for doing this. There's another one. This one's for cakes. And then you gifted. I didn't even know you could do that. You gifted someone a. You can do that. I know you can do that on Twitch. I didn't know you could do that here on YouTube. That's awesome. Thank you. Does it say who you gifted it to? Put user in timeout. I'm going to put you in the timeout. You gifted someone a membership, I'm going to put you in a timeout. No, I'm just kidding. I would never do that. Does it say who you gifted it to? Was gifted Billy Bob Robertson. Nice. Nice. Billy Bob. My boy Billy Bob. You had the question about Buffy. Buff. I'm just skimming through to make sure whatever I'm about to ask isn't in part of someone else's conversation. Frenchy says, it's 2023 in London. Just finished my New Year's Eve shift. Happy New Year's, everyone in the chat. Happy New Year's. How old is this? Am I reading stuff from, like, last year? Am I reading chats from... I've been streaming for a year. All right, no, seriously. It's 8 minutes. I got to go get the things. I'll be right back. Hang on. We've got to do the countdown thing. I'm not ending it. Not yet. I need to do the giveaway. Y'all can't leave because I got to do the giveaway. I'm going to be giving this away right at midnight. Right when I turn Charted Tree. But I got to go get my family up here so we can do the countdown. This little bugger was right outside the door the whole time. He's just sitting out there watching all the stuff. You pervert. I don't know if I can show this, just real quick. I actually go on my Instagram. I did a video where I pretended to be hanging out with Amelia Clark. So we decided it's almost bedtime, so I'm not going to disturb what's going on down there. My girlfriend's going to come up here. We're going to pop the bottle, but my children are going to stay downstairs. That makes sense to bring them up here because they're going to think it's bedtime and probably all start crying and screaming. And I get to hear that enough. Technically, you guys, shouldn't have to be, subject to that. But yes. But I'll do the giveaway right after that, and the stream will be wrapped. wrapped up. 2 hours. Let me get this thing ready. Alright. I thought I'd be able to just go get Luke and bring him up here and then have her bring Bella up here, but no, that's not what's going to happen. This thing has been sitting in my fridge since last New Year's, and if you don't believe me, it's got mold on it. You're probably like, ew, that's gross, right? But when you have kids and you put a bunch of bottles in the fridge all the time, some of those bottles spill stuff on the ground. And you know what is genuinely disgusting? That mold is on my fucking mouse pad. That is disgusting, bro. Hang on a second. I gotta do some research. Really? Wait, did I mute it? Nope, I'm not muted. I was about to say like 4 different curse words, which I'm not saying. I'm not gone. I didn't even leave the screen. I'm just trying to clear this thing up while I do some research. If y'all don't know, there is a scene in House of the Dragon, right? Where Sir Otto Hightower, and I know this stream has been about the Blacks. We've been constantly talking about the Blacks this whole time. We've been talking about Rhaenyra. We've been talking about Dane. We've been talking about friggin' Jacaerys, right? We even talked about Lucerys, right? We've been talking about all the Blacks. But Sir Otto smokes that kush. And I ball like swoosh. That was so corny. I don't know what she doing. Alright, research completed. You don't know that. Sir Otto does that in episode 5. Let me catch up to the chat. Yes, of course. I'm afraid to look under my fridge because... Or in the couch cushions. I eat cotija cheese all the time with my Chipotle tacos, right? Not tacos from Chipotle, but just Chipotle tacos, right? There was cotija cheese in the couch for like a month. We couldn't figure out the smell. I thought one of the cats pooped on the couch because they do that. Sometimes the cats wiggle their little... They flatten out like pieces of paper and they slip underneath the door, like Charlie says from It's Always Sunny. No, literally, yeah. And if you've ever smelled cotija cheese, queso blanco, it's kind of funky. It's 2 minutes. What are you doing? Babe, are you going? Alright. Where did I put the thing at? Alright. Y'all ready to do this? It's probably already been demonetized anyway. It's weird because you see people drinking on podcasts all the time. I wouldn't stand right there. That's not a good location. Here, I'm going to stand up to do this. Is it almost? Oh, wait. Do you have the timer up?
I mean, I have the meter.
How many seconds? How many seconds?
44.
Okay, so let's get it. Can we get a timer going in the chat? That's seconds. What is it? 30 seconds? I don't have one on my phone. I didn't think to pull one up. What does it say? Is it 10 seconds yet? I've only done this a few times.
I can't tell.
I'm going to shoot it that way because there's no stuff over there. A minute? It says 11. No, it's mid. Oh, it's now. You said a minute. It's now. Happy New Year. Woo! All right.
I'm so nervous.
You shouldn't be. It's only been sitting in the fridge for 2 years. Oh, damn. Come on. Woo! Safely. We did it safely, baby. Do you have the glasses? Here. You drink this for me because, well, for one, I can't on camera. And for two, no, I'll quit being a bitch. Here. Here. You didn't have anything? Just take a sip. Woo! Cheers, everybody! Woo! Happy New Year! Oh, thank you. Happy birthday to me. So 33. How about? Cheers. Oh.
Happy birthday.
Oh, well, then just drink from this then. That's got mold in it too. Everything's got mold in it around here. All right. I did not drink it. That's nasty. That still had some tequila in there.
Happy birthday.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy birthday. That's the voice of my lover, but y'all can't see her face because she's invisible. She wouldn't show up on a camera not because she's that pale. She is, but also because she's a vampire. Vampires don't show up on camera. On camera. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, bye. Go get to the babies. Let me see that. Wait, I don't need any of that. I don't need any of that. All right, let's do the giveaway. Happy New Year's, everybody. Yeah, she was actually in a video, too. We did a Stranger Things podcast audio, and then we did a reaction to her looking at Game of Thrones scenes here on YouTube. Both of them are on YouTube. You can go see her if you want to see her. All right. Daenerys time. Daenerys time. Peanut butter Daenerys time. So, everybody in the chat, right, if you've won, there have been 8 different people who have won, at least. There's more, but one person, unfortunately, gave me the wrong address, and they never received it, right? So 8 people have won and received their stuff, right? But right now, let's make it 10, right? I guess 9. Technically 10. The person who lost that, I'm still waiting to see after the holidays to see if they'll get it, because a lot of times mail is backed up that long. Like I recently got something. I got some Shutterfly mail from August just last week. So I'm waiting to see, because that is the person won. It's on their way. It doesn't have the right apartment number, but it has the right address. I'm hoping maybe it just got held up. But anyway, this will make the 10th winner, technically 9th winner, right? Number 1 through 33, okay? If you've already won, was my point, please don't try to guess the number. Let's keep it fair so that people who haven't won have a chance to win this. Usually the people that win are patron members of mine, but that's because most of the people watching this right now, most people typing in the chat, are members of my Patreon. If you're watching right now, you can join for as little as $2, just for some self-promotion, just because, well, I didn't need to say that. That's what Patreon is, yes. Okay, so 1 through 33, typing in the chat, pick a number, 1 through 33. My son is losing it. My daughter has already lost it, so y'all win it. Right? Yeah, I like that little joke. Sir Hunts is buzzing off half a glass of tequila. All right, so the numbers have started coming in. And y'all can see them on screen, so this will be even fair. Let me make the chat this big. Right? So, oh, wait. Guess what? Y'all going to have to wait, because I didn't even think of the number yet. 1 through 33. Let me think of the number. All right, got the number. Locked in. It's a number I haven't chose either. It's completely random. It's not 11. 11 was actually the number 3 different times for winning. All right? One of those winners never messaged me, but it's not 11. Okay, that was the winner. That was the number last week. Shell, you see, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh my God, Miss Lady LA. I swear to God, the number 17. Are you in my fucking no? Don't say 14, Miss Lady LA. It's 17. Here's the thing: are you publicly subscribed, and are you following me on Twitter and on Instagram? Because if you are, 17 was a number, and you just won. I swear to God. It was 17, because that's such a random number. Like, I picked 33 before, so I couldn't pick that. I did that with In Deep Geek. I did 11 a couple of times. I've done 77. I've done like 344 or something fucking stupid, but I've never done 17. And 17, swear to God, it's like you're in my brain. Because maybe it's the way I said it, like, oh, I've never thought of that's a good one before. But yeah, 17. Are you subscribed to me here on YouTube? And are you following me on Twitter and Instagram? If not, you have time to do that, because obviously I'm live right now. I can't go check those things. But yes, you won. If not, no, not if not. You have time to do that. So yes, congratulations, Miss Lady LA. I'll try to have it sent out to you. I usually try to have it sent out by Wednesday, so that way you get it right in time for the next live stream, so that way I can promote it in my stories on Instagram. Not that I want to like show off or anything, but it shows that I do follow through with what I'm saying. It's not just, next year, I don't know what I'm going to be giving away. We're going to go back to giving away my art, because I'm out of actual art that I'm giving away. I'll never, on God, give away that joint right there. Look at that right there. Little teeny tiny chat, but look at that right there. That's a painting of the boy Damon from J Fox. Make sure y'all go follow him on Instagram. But yeah, so the artist who did this is Blaze Manga. Congratulations, Miss Lady LA. If you have a chance, if you have an Instagram account, if you make want to follow me or whatever, please go follow them just to support them. I don't currently follow them, but I've met them before. I just don't follow them. Nothing against them at all. Obviously, I'm promoting them. I'm just saying. Tag them in the post. That would be a better thing to say. I'm not going to tell you what to do. All right. I don't know. You said play the guitar, Mad Jack. It's my birthday. I'll play the guitar. Just because you said that. Oh, the cat done left some poop up in here. Wait, no, that's the cork from the champagne. I was like, oh my God, the gray one pooped in here on the floor. It's going to stink, and I just haven't smelled it yet because I had to do some research. That tastes terrible. Tequila, champagne, and orange juice. Woo! Disgusting. Oh, that's gonna sound good. It's funny, I'm trying to tune the top string, but the second string's out of tune. I'm gonna play this as if it were a bass, all right? You know what? I'm gonna play a song that I've been practicing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna play "Smoke on the Water" like a bass, like the acoustic, but it's gonna sound really bad because you just asked me to do it on the spot, and I've always said I suck at the guitar. Right, here you go. What if that's how crappy? That's pretty good because this is like a acoustic guitar. You're not supposed to play it like that, but I do it because I break all the rules, baby. I'm a renegade, baby. Ooh. I actually came up with this one song, Dragons in the Sky, before. I'll play Free Bird in a second, did John Haymaker. I can't even think of how that song goes right now. I don't know. I've never known how to play that. But what you call it? It was Aerials, but I sang like Dragons in the Sky. I got old fingers now. Actually, these fingers are stone. Like these strings aren't that old, but this guitar itself, the neck's bent. I'm a abusive guitar owner for sure. This thing is not taken care of. Let me point this down here though. All right. Sounds awful. I came up with a really cool, because I saw someone doing a cool chord progression on the Reels thing, but I can't even remember it now. If I put it in drop D, I'll sound good. Hang on. I love playing Aerials. It's so fun. Dragons in the sky. Dragons make you high. If you don't watch out, dragons will mean you can die, man. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Punk rock Mark. Not so much anymore. If I had my electric, look at there's some live streams that I did in Game of Thrones season 7 where I had my electric. It was a hollow body. It was semi-hollow body. It was amazing. It was an Ibanez or something. I don't know. It was $700. I was making money from YouTube, But I really do love the guitar, no matter how crappy I am. I've genuinely been playing since I was 16. Spent a lot of money on it, had to pawn it twice. Same model, different color. But anyway, there's a few live streams where I got to play that, where I played that thing. Amazing. I love the sound of that guitar. I always like semi hollow body stuff because I like blues stuff. I got these hands and they call for blues. But yes, congratulations on Miss Lady LA. Hopefully, Mad Jack, that showed you how crappy I am at playing the guitar. I didn't want to do this. It's embarrassing. Also, to be fair, the guitar's not in tune. And if a guitar is not in tune, it doesn't matter how. Well, no, because really good people could play. All right, let me try again. I'll try one more song. I'll play it like an actual, like a upright joint. What y'all want to hear? Let's see. Oh no, I forgot it's in drop D. All right, well I gotta go. Bye. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. A long night. Also, Miss Lady LA, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and then message me your address, and I'll send this to you by Wednesday. I'll have it out in the mail to you by Wednesday. A long night. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. I need